I would say start looking into life after hockey while you're still playing. like,
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to make enough money that I could sit for like a year and like not do anything, right? And like more like uh prepare myself for like the next step. But not everyone is that lucky, right? And
Yep.
and and uh I like thought that I was gonna play until I was 38, 40, right? And I had to retire when I was 30. So it's like you never know when that time is gonna come.
Hmm.
So like uh prepare yourself while you still have time, because like when you play hockey, you always think like, oh yeah, I'm so busy. Like, yeah, I had
Hmm.
practice and then I gotta go home and eat and like nap and like play Fortnite. Like, you have so much time when you play. So like utilize that time instead of just wasting it.
Welcome, everybody, to this episode of Pucks to Properties. We have an exciting, extremely exciting episode for everybody. Before we get started, I know I didn't do this last time. Tom yelled at me, but this podcast is sponsored by both my virtual assistant company called Riva Global. It's been in existence for a long time, since 2014. Specializes in a number of different things with outsourcing, real estate investors, agents, any type of real estate professionals, marketing companies, you name it, med companies, doctors' offices, anything from real estate to anything you can think of. And also Perch Rock, our real estate investment company. Last year we did 240 transactions. Year before that, 160. So obviously we're growing on that side of it. And what we do on this episode is what? What do we do on this podcast, Tom? Did he freeze again? Eddie, unbelievable. It's on every episode he freezes. So I will take what we do on this podcast. Obviously, the purpose of this podcast is to give back. Many of us, just like Eddie, we go from the locker room to what we want to look at, and what we want to try to do in our next phase of our lives. And there's a lot of us that struggle within that time. So this purpose of the podcast is to give back to each and every one of you, and show you that, guess what? There is life after hockey. And I know it's scary, but the stories that we tell on this podcast, I think hopefully will help each of you listening to this podcast. But Tom, your spin on it. You just froze a little bit. What
I
is the
froze.
purpose of this podcast?
I'm sure you covered it all, but obviously, the purpose is to give back, stay involved in the game in some way, shape, or form, but also transition to that next phase of life, which all of us had, whether it be real estate, whether it be business, agent, investor, flipper, buy and hold, long-term guy, whatever it is, there is no, barriers of entry in this industry, as both of you know. And, we've had a lot of guys reach out. The page is growing, the cast is growing, guys are reaching out to us, want to come on, all walks of life, every level, from the SP to the NHL, World Championship guys. So I'm excited to have Eddie here, probably our most handsome guest since we started doing this, and very excited to have you on. Appreciate the time.
Yep. So Eddie, thank you. Obviously, Eddie Läck.
I appreciate you
Eddie
guys having
Läck,
me.
yeah, absolutely. From Sweden. So this is a really unique one too. First time we've had someone from overseas, which is really cool, because there's a lot of players, whether minor league or NHL, that are from other countries, right? Obviously, you're from Sweden, that have, sometimes, our family's not here. I played in Europe for 4 years, and so did Tom, played over there. So it's sometimes it gets scary when you have to figure out what you're going to do next, especially in a different country. So, Eddie, give us a quick introduction. You're in real estate. You've been doing it how long? Give us a little introduction.
God, I thought we were gonna do this interview in Swedish, but I guess I was wrong. No, I've been officially retired from hockey now for 4 years. I had my second hip surgery 4 years ago, and I just felt that I didn't want to keep going, and I still had a lot of pain and discomfort, and I kind of just like wanted to do something new in life, right? So real estate has always been a passion of mine. My family does a lot of investing back home in Sweden, and we have a few hotels in Sweden as well, and while I was still playing, I was still investing in real estate back home, and that was the reason why I wanted to start it. But I didn't want to live in the cold and dark Sweden in the winters, so decided to just kind of do my own thing here in Scottsdale, and I've had my license for a little over 3 years now.
Very nice, very nice. And obviously a little bit of background. You played Vancouver. You played Vancouver. You played in. You play. I don't know if you met my brother. My brother scouts, one of the head scouts in New Jersey. So I know you played in New Jersey for a bit. And I don't know if you met him. You
I
ever meet
don't
our brother
think I
Scott?
have. No,
No. All right.
no,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Cool. And obviously you played on played in Calgary for a bit, minor leagues for a bit. So walk us through, while you were playing, when did you first start investing? Because it's for a lot of individuals, they haven't started investing. They start investing later on. But for you, obviously, you had history with family. So walk us through a little bit about your first investment and when you started doing that.
So my first investment that I bought was a apartment in Stockholm. That like the plan was kind of to maybe live there when I was home in the summer, or whenever I retired, that might be a spot that I move into. But I started renting it out, and the rental income and everything, which is so good. So I bought that first property. I never went in it. My mom walked it for me, and I went in it once 2 years later, and that's it. I mean, I had that place for 5 years, I think, and it was rented out the entire time. Yeah, just walk through it once. So yeah, that was pretty fun. And then my dad's a contractor back home, so he started doing a bunch of stuff at a skiing resort up north in Sweden, and that skiing resort kind of started from like scratch. So we just got in really early, bought a few lots, put a few houses on there, and sold them. So that was the last thing that I kind of had in Sweden. I closed everything out there just because we have so much going here in Arizona. So been closed out from Sweden for about like the last year and a half, I would say.
Nice. And one takeaway I want to say, especially for for players that live in Europe, there's opportunities to invest in home even though you live here. So let's talk a little bit about the comfort, your comfort level investing back home. If you didn't have family in the business, what advice would you give other players? Would you say yes, get into it, or what steps would you take?
I would say get into it, but find like an agent or like a property manager or like an old friend that lives there, just like someone that you're comfortable with and trust. That would make you feel a little more comfortable about it, right? Because like we have a lot of Canadians that come down and invest here, and I feel like I have a little bit of a leg up because they've seen me play and they've seen my interviews, and like they like kind of feel that they meet me already, right?
Yep.
uh, so
Absolutely.
so so like the trust is kind of there from like the start already. So like find someone that you trust.
Yep. Yeah. And the boots on the ground, dude. Mealy, what the hell? Turn your camera, dude. What the hell are you doing? All right, this is the last time you are ever gonna have control of all of the tools, all of the. Dude, you're the worst. You're the worst. All right, so let's go along with Eddie's saying, boots on the ground. So if you're gonna invest in different areas, make sure you have a trusted person, have boots on the ground. There's a lot of individuals. You know, Eddie, we interviewed a lot of people, and a lot of them have started in Nashville, and they did the exact same thing. They found someone they trusted. They had boots on the ground, and they invested with that individual. So that's great. Let's talk a little bit about that. So what do you do now? Do you take other individuals that like in Canada, like Canadian hockey players? Are you finding rental properties for them? But give us a little bit of what you're doing today. I know I checked out your website. Looks like you have Läck and Long luxury real estate. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Talk about that.
So it's me and my partner Connor Long, and he started like a year after me. So he's been in it for two years now, and we actually met when I was doing my rehab up at Exos here. It's like an athlete rehab for my hips, and he was doing strength and conditioning, and we just started talking and we became friends. And then when I've been in it for about a year, his mom does real estate back where he's from in North Dakota, and I'm like, hey dude, like why don't you just try out if this is something that you like, and we can do it together, right? So yeah, we've had the Läck and Long for two years now. With the Canadians, we're mostly focused on Airbnbs.
Nice.
So we're kind of like a full service. Like we have, we obviously help to buy the property. We have someone to help with the rehab of the property, if that's necessary. We have designers that can help to furnish it. We have property managers and everything like that, right? So we're pretty dialed in with the Airbnbs, and I have 4 Airbnbs myself, and that always seemed to like kind of help to build that trust as well, because I put my money where my mouth is, right?
No,
and
that's important. I love it. Love it.
Yeah. So lots of Airbnbs. We have done a few flips with Canadian investors as well. That's gone nice. But yeah, mostly I would say 90% Airbnb.
What kind of marketing do you do? Is this just to ex players, or is it more to, you have another sphere up there, or you have another avenue to raise money or find more investors?
So it's all just word to mouth or referrals or people that follow my Instagram or Twitter. I actually did my first marketing up there in August. So I did a few billboards around
Did you?
Vancouver. Yeah,
Did you?
and it said Läck is back, and just like with some Arizona properties and everything on it. So
Nice.
yeah, it was fun.
That is actually really cool. That's creative. Do you have a marketing person on your team that helps with this stuff, or what do you do?
No. Like I'm all referrals really. So I just like I have an assistant that helps me with follow up and client appreciation and everything like that, right? But yeah, like I like tried to buy a few leads, and I just felt that wasn't for me.
Sure.
Like I'm way better in person than I am on the phone, and like the first impression, everything is just so important when you buy these leads and everything like that. And I just felt that it wasn't for me.
Yep. So let's paint a picture. I just want to take a step back and paint a picture. 2018, you get second hip surgery. All right. You know you want to get into real estate. What was the first step? Because there's a lot of people that want to get in real estate, especially obviously, not from this country, probably a little scary. So what was the first thing you did? Was it get your license?
So the first thing I actually did was to buy a rental down here in Scottsdale. That was my first thing, and I had a friend that helped us buy that place, and I was kind of just like picking her brain, like how it was to get my real estate license and what the steps are and everything like that. So right after we bought that place, I was still on crutches actually, and I started the real estate school and yeah, finished that one. I think it was like a 6-week course, and passed all the tests and everything, and then I had to wait about 9 more months for my green card before I could do anything.
Oh,
So yeah, while I was waiting, I was kind of just like shadowing a few people that I know, and did like the open houses with other agents, and just like read a lot of books and just try to find out as much information as I could about it.
nice. So you got so within that time, so some very good takeaways is number one, you bought a rental property, probably to feel, hey, do I want to get into this? Do I not want to get into this?
Yeah.
Then you got your license. And while you're waiting for your green card, because guess what? That's going to happen no matter where you are. If you're not from the United States, you shadowed, right? You started building probably your network, right? Meeting
Yeah.
people, networking,
Yep.
and then you also self-educated yourself. What kind of education did you do? Did you do agent education, investor education, or meaning what kind of books did you read?
A little bit of everything. I mean, I've always been super interested in the Airbnb route. So
Okay.
we me and my wife, we first watched that show. It's called like Stay Away or something on Netflix. And it was all about just Airbnb. So we're like, oh my god, this like sounds like so much fun, right? So we read a lot of books about setting up the Airbnbs and what you need from like a financial standpoint, but also like what kind of furniture, like what kind of amenities, like what are we looking for when we're gonna buy the first one, and then once I kind of figured that out, then I went more into like the agent side, like, and you guys know like the beginning of being a real estate agent, like they don't teach you like how to sell, they teach you how to not get sued, right? so
It's paperwork.
like,
That's it. They just throw a bunch of paperwork at you.
yeah, exactly. And like I'm not a very salesy person or anything like that, but I had to kind of learn like um how to represent myself in like the best light, right? And hot 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 hockey players are like so different, because we're just like, I mean, practice, we're like coming out sweaty to interviews and like yeah, this is what's going on. So I kind of had to just like teach myself from like the beginning, I feel like.
Yeah. No, you know what? We don't get taught this stuff in the locker room. We talk about this all the time,
No.
right? we're hanging out with everybody, whether it's in Sweden, France, Italy, United States, doesn't matter. We're never taught unless we're going to teach ourselves. There's no NHLPA that's saying, hey, Eddie, let's teach a course on sales, right? Of how to communicate. We don't get that in the locker rooms right now. So
No.
what do you recommend that if you have a player right now looking at this and let's say you're 2014, 2015, knowing you've already had hip surgery, knowing you can't play forever, what would you tell somebody, in your position 3 years prior to you retiring?
I would say start looking into life after hockey while you're still playing. I was fortunate enough to make enough money that I could sit for like a year and like not do anything, right? And like more like prepare myself for like the next step. But not everyone is that lucky, right? And I like thought that I was gonna play until I was 38, 40, right? And I had to retire when I was 30. So it's like you never know when that time is gonna come.
Mm-hmm.
So like prepare yourself while you still have time, because like when you play hockey, you always think like, oh yeah, I'm so busy. Like, yeah, I had practice and then I gotta go home and eat and like nap and like play Fortnite. Like you have so much time when you play. So like utilize that time instead of just wasting it.
Yep. All right. Tom is technical difficulties. Tom, I don't even know what you mean add me in. He's just sent me a text. He goes, add me in, logging in from my phone. You're the moderator, dude, Tom. So you got to add yourself in. So this is the beauty of when you have a team. So I'm going to spin this and ask you about a team because this is very important, right? You and your wife. So is your wife from US or is she from Sweden?
Yeah, she's from Chicago.
Okay, cool. So she's from US, so obviously she's acclimated to this culture, right? She's interested in Airbnb with you. You guys watched a Netflix show. You bought a rental property that was not an Airbnb at the beginning. You got your license. Now you decide, hey, I want to jump into Airbnb. So for everyone that doesn't know Airbnbs, there's a team that you have to build, right? You have, for you guys, you built a contractor team, right? You guys got designers, you have a property manager. I'm sure you had to find cleaners because cleaners, whenever they change over from one renter to the next renter, there's a shit show that happens. And, that's probably where you have most of the headache when it comes to that stuff. So let's talk about how did you guys, and is this just you and your wife's Airbnbs or is it also Connor's, your partner?
So it's just me and my wife. Yeah.
Okay.
And when you're building this like team, I mean, we kind of started from scratch, right? And like I always say, like we had to go through like some bad cleaners. We had to go through some like bad builders to like find our A team, right? And we've gone through those mistakes now, so I feel confident that whoever that I refer to my clients, like they're the A team now, right? But like we had to go through it all, and there was definitely mistakes made, but we learned from them, and that's all you can do, right?
So what do you recommend? Obviously, when you start building, it's like building a hockey team anyway, right? You have a player that you have to trade or you have to get rid of because they're not pulling their weight. But when you build a team in business, what do you guys look for? Like, how did you find the right team members? Let's go through some of the pain points of what you found to find those right people. Where did Eddie go? There you are, Eddie. There you are. You pulled a mealy right there. No, you're back. You're back.
I don't even want to talk because I feel like my voice is going to fuck something up. So I'll just look.
No, like we we started with some referrals from people that we know, and obviously when you look at a builder, you're looking at like how's their product, how's their timeline, how well can they stick to budget. Like
Yeah.
when you look at a property manager, you look at like how good are their cleaners, like how much percentage do they take, like what's their inspectors like what's their system to get bookings. So like we didn't really know a whole lot of this when we started, and we kind of just like learned the right questions to like ask, but it took a few years to like learn, right?
Yeah. But but the great thing is, I mean, a great takeaway there though, Eddie, is you learn while you went. You decided what you wanted to do, and you guys did it. That's a
Yeah.
challenge. A lot of people don't do that because it's analysis paralysis. They're scared. I mean, think about it. You go from a hockey locker room out into the real world. It's scary. It's scary.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So, did you guys, when you were in the locker room and with other players, did you talk real estate? Did you, were there any players that were interested in it? Like, how did that go? Because we get a lot of questions, outside of this podcast that say, hey, when you're in the locker room, even with me, when I played for 8 years, and I never once talked about real estate, to be honest with you. Never once.
Yeah, no, like everyone. So I bought my first house here while I was still playing, and that's kind of like the only time that everyone was just like talking about it, right? But there wasn't really that much talk about real estate as an investment. It was more like where the guys were going to buy houses where they could live, or like rent apartments where they were playing. So like we never really talked about real estate as an investment. It was always just like, oh yeah, I have this financial guy, he takes care of everything, and like I don't have to do anything. Right. Well, while that is an approach that works for some people, in my experience, like if you're not invested and like care about your money, because it is your money that is invested, so you should know like every little thing that's going into it, right? Like when you don't know that or want to know that, that's when things go the wrong way, in my opinion.
Yep. And I'm just gonna take that. And I know Tom wants to ask a question before he before his camera turns sideways or he gets kicked off. But I think that's a huge takeaway. So any player that's listening to this, don't let your financial advisor, your business advisor, run all your money without learning and knowing where every penny is, because they will feed the shit out of you. Before you know it, you'll look at all your statement and they're taking out a lot. And this is no knock against, business advisor, financial advisor. No. It's our job. Yeah, it's our job to know where our money is.
And the good financial advisors, like they will educate you, and like the only thing that you need to like do is that you have to want to learn. And that's the key. Like take just like 30 minutes a day to like learn something about where your money's going, and that goes a long way.
And if everyone, always realize whoever you're talking to, know how they make money. A financial advisor does not make money by saying, Eddie, take $100,000 and put it into real estate. They say, Eddie, take $100,000, give it to me, and I'll put it in the stock market so I can make fees off that money. So the other takeaway is always know who you're talking to, what maybe their motivation is when they're talking to you, and kind of steering in a different way. That's just a kind of a high level kind of, it's very, very important, especially, when I was playing, I didn't know that. I had no freaking idea at all what to do with my money. It's always, hey, give it to your financial advisor. And I'm like, now that I know a lot about it, I'm like, shit, I wish I would have jumped into real estate back in, 97 when I was playing. So that's just a takeaway. So, Tom, what do you got? What do you got, Tom? You're here.
We sure? Do I want to say anything? I don't know. So, I just want to use one adjective, and that's fear. And my question for Eddie is in two parts, because I'm thinking about his journey. I'm thinking about his story when he got started. I want to talk about, towards the end of your career, that transition from, hockey into the business world. Obviously, it's scary because you've done something for so long, and you don't really know what you're getting into, because we talk about identity all the time on past episodes. You're known for one thing for basically your entire life, and then you have to recreate yourself. I want to talk about, your transition period mentally, what that was like, and also being a foreigner. You're doing business in a country where, language is second to you, and how did you approach, going about your business? And I'm thinking about going over to Sweden and being a realtor, and it scares the shit out of me, and I wouldn't know what the fuck to do. So it's like, kudos to you for being able to utilize and use your skill set, personality, and whatnot for that. Let's kind of touch on those two things a little bit.
Yeah, so let's start with the language. The hardest thing for me was just with real estate school, because there's so many new words that I had to learn before I could understand putting them into sentences and what they meant, right? So my number one thing was to learn what an escrow was, or contingency, or right, and then to put it into sentences and stuff, right? So that's also why I took the longer course, the 6 week instead of the two weeks, because I just didn't want to be overloaded with all this information, and just take my time and really learn it step by step, right? And the second part of it, I had such a hard time in the beginning just to introduce myself as Eddie Läck, the real estate agent, because to me, hockey players was top of the food chain, right? You are the superstars, and you go out to restaurants, you get the nicest tables and everything like that. And for me to just introduce myself as a realtor in the beginning just felt like such a huge step down, but it took a little while. But then I just kind of told myself, I'm like, hey, you're working hard, and you're actually providing a great service for your clients. Be proud of what you do, and embrace it. And once my mentality switched, I felt that everyone else mentality switched, and I could be proud of what I did.
Yeah, love it.
Great point.
Love it. Keep going with that, Tom, because that's something that's important. It's the mindset that we all had as a hockey player, and now we have to transition into the real world. That is freaking hard, man, because our identity is stuck in being a hockey player. You nailed it, top of the food chain, and all of a sudden now you're a regular. I mean, dude, you go to restaurants, no one gives a shit who you are anymore. You're not playing.
Nope,
right?
no. Get in line, buddy.
Get in line, buddy.
Eddie, do you think your competitive nature from playing at such a high level for so long transitioned into business, being I'm going to work my ass off to learn the language, to learn the verbiage, to learn the laws, basically starting from nothing? But, goalie's the hardest position in hockey. Everybody relies on it. If you don't have you, there's nothing. So it's I know what guys say, but I want to know your opinion on, why do you think hockey players, do so well in the business world? I know the answer already, but I just want to hear your take on it.
Yeah. I always like go at like the end of every year, and I try to set my like goals for next year, right? And like I'm always like, well, like what if I can just like be average and I have like a little more time to like golf or like hang out with the family and everything, right? And like then I go like another hour and I'm like, God, like it just bugs the shit out of me to be average. Like I can't be average. Like and that that is just something that's like ingrained with us as hockey players. I think like we have to compete and like we have to be the best version of ourselves that we can be, right? And but that's why we always like stick to our high goals, and like we always make them too, because that's just like who we are, because it's ingrained in us, I feel like.
Dude, that's a great answer, man. That just gave me the chills because it's like you're exactly right. I saw Tom was smiling, I was smiling. We're all like, you could feel that because, dude, you want to win. You want to freaking win. You don't want to be average. You want to win. Like you try to you try to take a step back and say, you know what, let's get back in the general population. Like you said, get in line, dude. That sucks, right? And it's tough for us to get back in line. So how do we become that person as close as we were? And that's winning in business, right? It's winning in for your case, real estate. So Tom, keep going with that. That was phenomenal question.
Yeah. So I think I read you're involved with the ASU team, right? You're doing some stuff with them. So what's your work? Is that volunteer? Are you paid? Are you on staff? What's that like right now? And how, just kind of give us a rundown of what you're still involved in the game. Obviously, you're the goalie coach for a Division I program, but you're still doing real estate. What's your day-to-day like right now in terms of time management? Because as you know, when we were playing, everything is itinerary: when to eat, when to sleep, when to play, go to the rink. So what are you doing now? Because for yourself, you're on your own page, you create your own schedule. So what's that like right now?
Yeah, so I still wanted to be involved in hockey somehow, and when the ASU thing came about, it seems like the perfect thing, because it's a volunteer job. There's like no pressure of me having to be there. So like whenever I have showings or like clients, I always put my business first, but I'm still at ASU like three, 4 times a week. So goalies are on the ice every morning from 9 to 9:45. So I go there early and I get my workout and cold tub and everything done in the morning, and then I go on the ice with the goalies, and like then my day starts kind of with real estate and everything like that. Like the point that you touched on with scheduling, like in the beginning, just like you said, like I was so used to having my day drawn up for me already that like whenever I had gaps, like I had a showing between 1 and 2, and then I had a gap until 3. Well, like there's a gap, so I might as well just like chill. I'll sit on my phone. I'll go on Instagram or Twitter or like just like hang, right? So I just felt that didn't really work for me with the background that we're coming from. So what I'm doing now is that before I go to bed the night before, I set my entire day schedule for the next day with like 15 or 30 minutes like blocks with what I'm supposed to do. Like my meetings are obviously in there from like a long time before, but like the gaps I fill it with like follow up with clients, or like some of these gaps I take care of myself. I work out, I cold tub, like I read a lot still. So like that was the biggest thing for like me, just like to set my entire day the day before, so when I wake up I have a plan and I know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, scheduling is important. You know what's funny? This is a small world. Greg Powers is a buddy of mine. You're the head coach at ASU. I just texted him. I said, "Hey,
Yeah.
we got Eddie on our podcast, so I'll be in Scottsdale for the Super Bowl. So Eddie, if you're around, let's grab a beer."
Yeah. Are you going to be in a little early for the waste management too, or
Yes,
no?
I am. Yes, I am. So you got to send me your number after this. Just stay on. You got to
Yeah.
see. This is
Yeah.
small world, right, Tom? I see you.
Yeah.
See you shaking
All
your
right,
head.
I'll see you guys. You guys have fun.
Yeah, we'll be in. I got one of my good buddies. He has 2 supermarkets. We're gonna go there, and we're going to waste
Nice. Oh,
management
that's
first.
awesome.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So let's definitely get together for sure. Grab a beer.
Yeah. Well, if you want, we have a box on Friday for the waste management. So if you want, I can send you the info, but we won't have one beer there. It would be a lot more than one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So I'd say or many. Yeah, send me that information.
Yeah.
Seriously. So we'll we'd love to go. Yep.
Me too. Send it to me. I'll see if I can make it.
Tom's not in. Tom's screwing this whole. So anyway, I know, Tom, we're going at the 40-minute mark. We like to keep it within a certain amount of time. Tom, what kind of last questions that we got?
What still drives you every day? What's your why?
My why has changed a lot since I had a kid. Before it was just being the best version of myself for me, but now it's being the best version of myself for my daughter and my wife. They are my why. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, if we could help in any way, I know we do some business out west. We're always looking for points of contact in a lot of different markets. So, if we could be of any assistance, if you need any help, I know Bob, has a ton of resources and connections. And other than that, we just want to say thank you, and we appreciate the time. And I'd like to get Connor on as well. Did he play?
Yeah.
Or is he strength and conditioning? Yeah. So if you can make that connection,
Connor,
that'd be great.
Yeah. Connor played up in he quit in college, but yeah, he's involved. RSG, I think they are the agency, the hockey agency. So he's involved there a little bit, and then we obviously do the real estate full time together. So his hockey agency thing is like kind of my ASU thing, right? So
Awesome.
we're like both very involved with hockey.
Love it.
Nice.
Love it.
Bob, what else you got?
No, I mean, there's some huge takeaways here. And I think anyone listening to this, and especially the individuals that don't live or aren't from the United States, this is this is a unique one for us, Eddie, because it's the first time we've interviewed someone from Europe or someone not from the US. So, and I love this because the takeaways we understand, because we played in Europe. If I ever had to, pack, my family up and go to a different country and, start from there, it's fearful. It's scary. You're nervous. There's a lot of stuff you have to figure out culture-wise, even for you getting your green card, understanding waiting 9 months, self-educating yourself. So the takeaways on this are incredible. You have a passion for real estate. You and your wife loved Airbnbs right away. So I think a lot of takeaways are, if you have passion in something, jump in with 2 feet, especially if you're, you got the hockey mentality, right? You're going to win.
Yeah.
You don't want to be average. You don't want to wait in line. So any parting words on your end, Eddie?
No, thank you so much for having the Stuttering Swede on. I appreciate it. And yeah, anyone looking for for vacation, second homes, or Airbnb down here, just hit me up on Instagram or Twitter. I'm active on both. So
Yeah, and any
Awesome.
obviously players that listen to this, reach out to Eddie if you're interested in getting into investing right away. I mean, and you have a little money put in the bank, definitely call Eddie, because Airbnbs are a very profitable investment to get into, especially when you have the right team, like we talked about. So Eddie, Tom, thank you very much. This is a great episode once again. Eddie, stay on real quick once Tom hits the button that we're off. Tom, make sure
we'll talk about beers.
Make sure this stays recorded though, Tom. Don't
All right,
get anything.
I'm gonna hit it
I'll
now.
come over there.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.